The best time to catch up is now. Catch up sessions.
Welcome back, Catch Up Sessions with Mark Laguna. We are headed home from a women's symposium event because March is Women's Month, and I guess it's time for us to share some thoughts on this concept of empower her or empowering her. But first, I think I gotta lay the landscape of my own experience, because obviously I can't speak for anyone else, as to how this is, I suppose, alive in my own periphery. I'm gonna start by saying we should go back to our home, right? I, for one, is a true blue mama's boy. I just made that same declaration earlier in public, and I am not shy about it because that's just the way it is, I guess. For one, I am so much closer to my mom than I am to my dad, and that influenced a lot of I guess decision making, upbringing, and exposure. I would before, when I was much younger, drive her to the wet market, and would be the kargadol of sorts. And to me, that was sort of our bonding moment during weekends as well. Of course, we don't really talk about our feelings, because what normal Filipino family does that? But that's for another podcast episode altogether. But just a shared experience of how you can see your mother sort of taking charge in simple ways, whether it is in deciding what to have for the rest of the week, for food and whatnot. And then the turning point happened when I felt like, my gosh, I'm such a grown-up now, because there was a point in time when my mom wouldn't decide and would ask us. What I vividly remember now was her asking, what do you guys want for dinner for the rest of the week? And then she will get the stuff for it. I was like, I never got to decide when I was much younger. So look at me in adulthood. All that to say, that relationship of eventually sort of giving us decision power, again in as simple as meals, sort of role reversing, is something that empowers you also, right? If you look at the role model as a kid, and then one day you get, I guess, that extra boost that you needed to signal to you, man up, you're a grown up now, is one of the things that influenced me in my dealing with women in the workplace, which is, I guess, the biggest sort of encounter I have in my day to day. I grew up with women managers. My first 4 or 5, maybe 4 managers were all women. So that shaped me because it was a good compliment. Now, am I friends with all of my direct managers? Do I get along with everyone? I would say most. There was 1 or 2 notable instances with a couple of them wherein we weren't meeting eye to eye. But was it because there were man-woman difference? I think it was more because one of my bosses then was super detail-oriented, and I am not at all. So there was a clash in expectations and delivery. But these are the things that you can use for the good, because if you're polar opposites, like in my example, then you can find ways to complement or support each other. In that, because I'm not detail oriented, then I seek out her opinion and we get to sort of be pulled in that direction a little bit, because there are instances where that's needed. Because I'm so high level, then I can get away with a few things that perhaps can really simplify our lives, instead of going through sort of the level 3 or 4. Again, both good and bad, but it's all about collaboration. And so goes, because it's Women's Month, the differences of what the man can do, what the woman can do, how that's all blurred right now. And at the same time, it is still true that people are crying out for justice, for inequality that continues to exist. Unfortunately, I feel like will continue to exist for much longer. However, many attempts that we do because of our biases, that's just inherent in the way we were brought up. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything about it. Of course, we should make every attempt to bridge that gap closer and closer, so that you bring equality in everything that we do. But just don't do it blindly. Meaning to say, do recognize the fact that some of these biases have been deep-rooted, and it will take a little more than just one talk to turn around people's point of view and opinion, and more importantly, their actions in their everyday. But what do you do then? Obviously, the answer is not to give up on people, but to continue to walk the talk so that others can follow. That's one. Just have that mutual respect, because the tables have turned in some instances, really. In industries like mine, which is supply chain, it's the usual norm to say, oh, there are more men in manufacturing, in the lines, in production. But lo and behold, statistics will tell you it's not exactly the truth. And I can't say and share specific details, but you have a lot more women really making it out there in the world. So much so that I feel like sometimes some men feel like they are disadvantaged. Now, is that valid? I don't think so. TBH. Because inherently people are still given some advantages over the other purely because of biases against the other sex, right? Oh, men can probably do thing number 1 because they have strength, and so on and so forth. Whereas, of course, women will have their own core strength that a man would usually, I guess, fall short of. But bringing it all back to what can one do, really, today, in your everyday. Going back to my point of mutual respect, it is really first in identifying your own biases. And sometimes you can't do that by yourself, so you should allow others to call you out for it. And being humble enough to really think twice. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's probably something that you don't see outright, or it's so deep-rooted and embedded that you don't see anything wrong in it. But it could be otherwise. And then when you allow others to call you out, just like this emergency, act with a sense of urgency. The ambulance agrees, and we let him pass. In terms of trying your very best to make simple adjustments. One simple thing from the talk that I attended earlier is when people go gather people and say, guys, I mean, come on. Not everyone's a guy. You also don't all of a sudden switch to, what's up, girlies? Because that's just swinging the pendulum far to the other side. But I guess I know this is more difficult, but the inclusivity of hi folks, hi friends. Again, it's super simple, but once you take notice of these small things, the hope and the prayer is you're also going to be a little bit more self-aware of the bigger things that matter. And those include making decisions as to who will fill a spot, who will get promoted, who will take on the job, who's best for this or that, that is not based on your preconceived judgments, but truly on one's merits, performance, and potential. Yeah, so that's a lot. It's a bit to chew and masticate on. Who says that? But truly today was super awe-inspiring. I have to give a big shout out to a legend that I just sort of learned about the story of today. Her name is Attorney Lelen Berberabe Lim, or now Berberabe, who's the Dean of the UP College of Law and used to be Pag-ibig CEO. She is such a darling. And I say that with so much admiration because the way she just wins the crowd over with her humor, and more so her outlook in life of breaking the glass ceiling. Because it is true for women, it can also be true in other instances where we are caged in our mindset. Say us as Filipinos versus the rest of the races in the world. Us in a certain industry versus the norms and expectations of what we're supposed to do, who we're supposed to be. It has so many life application points. So if you do get a chance to hear from these people, whether that's in interviews, I think there will be an Adobo magazine feature coming out on that, and I got to meet really cool people also in this encounter from such places. Shout out to the Stratworks folks as well. So just being open to all of these moments of learning, and hopefully you get to apply even just one thing out of these simple encounters that will make this world just a bit better than you were living in yesterday. Yay. So much more of these introspections and thoughts here in this fun season. I'm itching to get back to interviewing, and that can come very soon, so do watch out for it. In the meantime, there are previous seasons to check out. Just go scroll and scroll away until you find a gem that hopefully you get to learn something from and share to your friends. That's it for now, and I will catch you again very soon.